All right, everyone. We are back for episode 29 of Stub Luv Live. Tonight, we have Sean Morgan on. Sean is the president and CEO of Famous Inc., which is one of the big marketing companies for athletes that are signing autographs. I see Sean's on.
Hello.
What's going on? You threw me for a curveball, man.
How's that?
You went on with your S. Morgan account, not the Famous Inc. account.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to go in from the other?
No, you're good. You're good. You're all good. We got a lot of people on. So Sean, I was explaining, Sean's the president of CEO of Famous Inc. Does a lot of marketing for a lot of the big athletes, autograph signings, has his guys coming into all the shows. He's got a bevy of heavy hitters. Allen Iverson, Julius Erving, Jim Thome, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. He's got some of the new guys, Sam Laporta, Jamar Chase. Big stuff.
Appreciate it. Glad to be on.
Yeah. So I've known Sean for 35 years, and you kind of feel old when you can say that you know someone for 35 years. But I look at you, you're all gray. I got no gray, so I'm doing better than you, boss.
Ouch.
So I want to talk to you a little bit. Obviously, this is a ticket show. You have a lot of your athletes who are getting a lot of ticket requests to sign tickets, debuts, moments. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Where are you right now? Tell the audience. You're in your car on the side of the road.
Pretty much.
And where are you?
I am in a rental car in Atlanta. I got a 10:30 flight, so I made sure to get back here just in time, barely, to jump on with you at 8 o'clock. So rental car center's right down the road. I got in here, got gas real quick, got a Slurpee. I mean, it's life on the road,
So can you tell the audience where you were today and why you're on the road?
Actually, I was with Allen today. So we had a big signing for one of the card companies, and then a few other pieces had to be done. So he actually lives over in Charlotte. So I shot over there for a little bit today, and we knocked that out. So.
All right. So my understanding is that some debut tickets were signed today.
There was one ticket signed today. I don't know if it's someone in your group, but I'm sure most people know Jeff Juco. And he had a little debut action with a couple inscriptions.
What are those inscriptions, Sean? I can't see them.
It's the answer and NBA debut.
Really cool. Really cool. So let me ask you, a guy. So I know you have different guys that are within your kind of collection of who you represent. You've got all kinds of big names. You got young guys, kind of the Jamars, the Laportas. You've got the guys that we grew up with in Iverson and Thome, and then you've got an older legend like Dr. J. Is Allen Iverson now? He's signed a lot of those debuts now, but when he first started to sign the debuts or the step over game, was that something that Allen was like, that was cool, he wanted to know about it, or was Allen just like, it's just another item?
A little bit. When tickets really exploded during COVID, and he started seeing more and more of them, he would kind of ask, like, what's all of a sudden with all the tickets? And then it was funny. He actually made a comment to me one time. He goes, I have a whole box full of just ticket subs, like, at home. He's like, we should go through them one day and see if there's anything good in there. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the guys were caught off guard because, it used to be something that the last thing you wanted signed was a ticket to a game. That was like last resort if you bump into a guy. And then it just exploded. Personally, I've never been, I know it's taboo to say because I'm in the business, I've never been the biggest collector in the world. And before tickets exploded, I actually kind of liked tickets. It was the one thing that I kind of thought was, tickets and programs, I feel like it's almost like a game used piece. It was actually there in the moment, at the moment. It's not a picture of the moment. It's not a ball commemorating the moment. It was there. So I actually always thought tickets were kind of cool, and kind of favored them. And so when they exploded during COVID, it was kind of interesting to me.
For a while, my understanding, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but for a while, I heard Allen was not signing the step over game ticket. Was that true, or did he always sign it?
I mean, at least he's never told me that. So,
Okay. All right.
now Alan and I have a little bit of a different relationship than he has with other people in the industry that, from time to time he does stuff with. But no, he's never told me
Okay.
that he wasn't signing it. So,
Okay. Any of your players that you represent and you market where people have come up with a ticket or, something ticket related where, it kind of blows them away?
um, I know David was very
Oh, I forgot to
surprised.
mention David Ortiz. That's also Poppy's
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
he was definitely surprised the first time I put an MLB debut ticket in front of him. He thought that was pretty cool. Um, I know Jim Thome, I had to seek out and find him a 500 home run ticket. For whatever reason with him, the 600s are way easier to get than the 500s, considering he did it in basically what amounts to his hometown playing for the White Sox. You would think there'd be a million of them. They are way harder to find than the 600. And so I did find him one and get it for him that he, has he has a bourbon bar in his home, where he keeps a lot of memorabilia. Trying to think of different ones. You and I had the running joke because when you gave me the Shaq first game, you were treating it like it was a newborn child, and I was like, "How I'm signing 100 of these?" And then I
Yeah,
sent you a
that's true.
picture of like the 5 that were at that signing. So, but he's asked about it. He knows what they are now. So a lot of the guys, they take an interest.
That's good.
Certainly more than they do an 8x10 or something like that.
Yeah, for
So
sure. What about Dr. J? One of my favorites of all time. I know he loves to talk history and New
he
York with
does.
with
Out,
everybody. And what about him?
out of all the guys I've ever worked with, I think Doc may be the most interested when something different comes up, something new comes up. He loves to, if a program comes up, thumb through it, or if it's a ticket, he'll turn it around and see, different things about it. He's just interested in it all. So yeah, he's always been curious about that stuff. I know I ended up with a ticket that I had sent over to you to kind of verify what exactly it was. And we were pretty sure that it was what they were claiming it was. But yeah, I mean, he's always got questions and is very interested, in that kind of stuff.
At,
So
at a recent Philly show, I was up there getting some stuff signed, and you helped me out with Doc. I got a pass to his first ABA season. And I know that when I put it up there, he looked at it, he flipped it to the back, he looked at it a little bit before he signed it. So I thought that was pretty cool. I told him what it was, but he wanted to look for himself.
yeah.
So good for Doc. So let me ask you: do you think some of the ticket collectors now look? The guy who got that Iverson debut signed, he got it signed with 2 inscriptions.
Mhm.
And no offense to Allen, because I love him. He's one of my favorites of all time. I'm a big Philly guy. The autograph is not the greatest kind of autograph. But it's interesting because he writes the answer beautifully. He writes NBA debut
Honestly,
beautifully.
all of his inscriptions are great. With the Hall of Fame, he likes to. He just. I honestly think I may have been the first person to do a signing with him after his Hall of Fame, and I said just HOF 16, and he just didn't like how it looked, and so he always puts 2K16. With the MVP, he puts 2K1. He just likes it to have a little flair to it. And it's funny because I've joked with him before that number one, he hates inscriptions, but I said people like them, especially because your autograph's a little quick. And I've also joked with him because he obviously signs a lot of stuff with Julius. And, Julius has one of the most beautiful signatures in sports. And then Allen will sign, above or below or whatever. And we'll just kind of, look at each other and chuckle about it sometimes because it's like, okay, a little difference in those two, but, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, his inscriptions definitely add a lot, especially if you're getting a nice piece or something that's special to you. It definitely means a lot.
Do you think there's certain collectors that kind of shy away from getting things signed by AI because his autograph's so rough, or you think they're just more inclined to pay for the inscriptions because the inscriptions kind of make the piece anyhow?
I don't think so. My personal opinion, I think as long as it's consistent, most people don't much care. It's more about consistency than anything. There's a handful of guys whose autograph is just so inconsistent, you don't know what you're going to get. And I think that frustrates collectors almost more than someone who it's pretty much always the same. You may not love it, but it's pretty much always the same.
Yeah, yeah. So tell the audience a little bit about some of the insights. Need the Sean Morgan autograph of AI. I don't know what that.
Yeah, that's Jeff Rizzo is a friend of mine, and
Uh,
he wouldn't
okay.
stop. He wouldn't stop bugging me about a ticket at a recent show that he wanted the nicest Allen Iverson autograph he could get. He goes, "Come on, it's you. You guys are tight. Give me the Sean Morgan." I said, "There's no Sean Morgan autograph. It's just his autograph." Which goes back to what I just said to you about consistency. It's not like all of a sudden he busts out an Allen Iverson every letter. That's just his autograph.
Yeah, I understand. So let's sneak into a little bit of the behind the scenes for what you do. You've got a bunch of exclusive guys, and you've got some of the best. I mean, top tier names, Sean. And I am so impressed by who you have and who you represent and the quality of your business. You also do engage some guys just for signings,
Right.
and I know you're always trying to get tough signers, but you want their first private deals.
Well,
So
either first or first in a long time, because that's how you're going to get the most bang for your buck, so to speak.
yeah, so I know there for a little bit you were, I don't know, first penny, but first in a long time of Anthony Hardaway.
Yep.
And just took a tremendous amount of stuff in and got Penny to sign it. You've also had Garnett,
Yep.
which was, I don't know if that was the first or was that just first in a long time?
First in a very, very long time. I mean, he had done an upper deck signing years prior, but certainly nothing with Sendens. And it's funny, actually, to your point, because I know this is the kind of stuff that you like to hear about. He had never done a signing with something like that. And it was funny because he's very particular and he'll kind of come in and command the room. He'll come in and say, okay, let's do all the balls. All right. So we'll go do all the balls. And, it was explained to him that we took in customer items. And, again, this was new to him. He had never done a signing like this before. And he actually said, let's leave that till the end. And, we did all the balls, we did the photos, we did the jerseys. And then we went over there and he, a lot of people have preconceived notions with him. He really took his time and wanted to know exactly how does somebody want something done. And, again, like would ask, oh, what is this? This is, your debut ticket, that kind of thing. So it was interesting. I didn't expect that. You hear a lot of things and, you start to come up with preconceived notions, but he was great. And he was definitely interested in the things people sent in and making sure they got what they wanted. Few people did complain because his big ticket inscription, he just writes big tick. Again, that'll always be that battle between promoters and customers where, things aren't going to be perfect. The player's going to write what the player's going to write. The player's going to do what the player's going to do. You can only control so much of it. But that's just what he writes, big tick. And, but in no way was it ever meant to be quick or, not that's just what he writes. Because like I said, he actually really, really took his time with the customer stuff, which was interesting.
Let me ask you this, Sean. So I talked to some other people about this, but I want to get your take on it. And I know you handle so much product, getting stuff signed, not just your own product that you sell on your website, which is famousinc.com, but you're handling everyone else's stuff, and you're taking items through the line, and you're taking items in the back room. I mean, you're doing all of that. How are you, and what are you doing? And I know you have Howard working with you, and Howard's great. It's been doing it a long time. How are you guys assuring that these athletes, when someone sends in a ticket to Famous Ink, isn't going to sign it in the wrong spot, isn't going to sign it off the ticket, isn't going to do something stupid with the item? I mean, I know, like you just said, it's impossible to control these guys, but what are you putting in place to at least try your best to make sure mistakes aren't made?
Well, to be totally honest with you, a lot of times we do exactly what the customers don't want us to do. You know, I've had, I hear people all the time on these boards or whatever complain, he moved my Post-it. Okay, well, when you leave this much room for the guy, he's going to hit the Post-it. And I know that, so I'll move it up a hair just because I know it's going to get hit, that kind of thing. As far as going off the ticket, you can't control that at all.
Yeah.
And I understand people want things done a certain way. I understand they want it perfect. A signature is a signature. It's never going to be a perfect science. And at the end of the day, people have to understand that, you do have to leave X amount of room for someone to write, So I definitely have, done little things to kind of help people help themselves, so to speak, too much, I'll tell you one of the things that ironically has screwed, we have a really, really good run of very minimal mistakes. And like you said, Howard is my right-hand man. He's the best.
Yeah.
He takes very good care of everybody's stuff. But, we, from time to time, will adjust the way something is tagged because we know it's going to be a problem. And a lot of times it's too much information. Put the information with the item, but right above where the player signs doesn't need to be your name, your address, blue Sharpie, blah, blah. Because a lot of times, a player will start to write something and, oh, shit, I wasn't supposed to write blue Sharpie, and that's why it's like, I always tell people, when you're tagging for the signature, just tag the pertinent information, you know. Don't put your name, your address, your contact somewhere else on the item,
Gotcha.
But at the end of the day, you want to leave enough room for the player. A lot of times when you got a Post-it above and a Post-it below because you're trying to get in this much space, that's how you end up, with a big skip because it hit the Post-it. And again, I'm not saying don't put a Post-it and keep room, but give a reasonable amount of room, So it's little stuff like that. And then, like I said, within reason, there's only so much we can do, and I think we do a really good job of it. But like you said, a player going off the ticket, we can't control that. That's all the player's hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's funny, as kind of teenagers and young guys growing up, we did a lot of chasing with each other. You had your crew, I had my crew. Most of the time, our crews, got along very well and behaved themselves. You had a way rougher crew than I did, though, brother. Your crew, man. There were some guys that did 5 to 10 before they ever showed up for autographs.
God only knows where they are.
Yeah, Lord, I have no idea. But back in the day, we would chase some of these guys, and like the Patrick Ewings of the world, impossible autograph. The John Stocktons of the world, impossible autograph. Did I just see All-Star Jeff come on? Is that Jeff Sachs? Oh my God, another person that I've known for 25, 35 years. Oh my God. So we would chase these guys like Ewing, Stockton, Malone. Never got them. Like, never.
Yeah.
Wow, Jeff sure is. Wow. So never got them. We're never successful. All of a sudden, these guys do a signing. Everyone who needs them gets them, and now you can't sell them anymore.
Unfortunately, just because a guy hasn't signed, in a long time or ever, doesn't mean he's particularly popular. People have certain items that they want to complete, like a Dream Team item. They have certain things like a rookie card or a debut ticket that they want. And then, once that initial pop is over, it's kind of like, why would you go back to the well? John Stockton's not a guy that you want 200 just generic basketballs and 8x10s in stock because he just doesn't sell. He's just never been particularly popular, and same thing with Patrick Ewing, which is ironic, him being a Knick. But he's just never been a guy that people were beating down the doors for.
So let me ask you this, Sean. I mean, we've talked about it before, you and I, over lunch, and it's cool to get for you the guy's first signing or a guy who's not signed in 10 plus
Yep.
years. Then we've talked about guys that only do privates, possibly getting them for a public.
Right.
So talk about that. You have guys who just don't want to do public appearances.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can sit here and give you all the PC answers, but at the end of the day, it's not the most fun experience for a player. For the 125 people that come through the line that all think that they have a unique story or a unique experience or whatever it may be, maybe one or two really resonate. It's usually a kid.
Hey, my shit resonates.
It's usually a kid or something like that. And like you see on all these shows pages, people say, "Who do you want for the next show?" Derek Jeter. Okay. Well, here's the problem. And Darren Ravel's a friend of mine. Love Darren Ravel. I'm not criticizing Darren Ravel, but okay. So Derek Jeter decides to do a show, and it's $1,299 for a public autograph. And Darren Ravel tweets that, and all of a sudden the backlash that Derek Jeter is going to face to go make a couple $100,000, it's not worth it, and people say, "Oh, Michael Jordan," well, let's be realistic. What do you think Michael Jordan would be if he showed up at a show?
I mean, again, if someone told me that I was able to get an autograph and a picture of Michael, Michael was going to stand somewhere, like maybe like what Kobe did before he passed away at a book signing, stand
Right.
at a podium,
Right.
take a picture, sign the book, and just keep people going through. I think a lot of people pay $5,000 for that.
$5,000? I think you could sell it out for 25.
Wow.
You don't think that there are 1,000 people that would pay 25 grand for a photo and an autograph? I mean, I think just a jersey on Upper Deck now is 18 grand.
Is it really? Wow.
So, I mean, I think you could probably sell 1,000 tickets at $25,000, and I still would tell you there's not a shot in hell Michael Jordan does it.
Yeah.
I mean, just the Asia market. I mean, the I can tell you flights from China to Chicago would be sold out.
Yeah.
I
guess I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, I guess you're right.
And I'll tell you, I've gotten a bit of a taste of it and experience with Allen because overseas, Allen is not all that far behind Michael. They just love him there. And, I had certain clients that would send in for literally every single Allen Iverson sign, but, but back to your point, the PR and all that would just, for a guy like Michael Jordan, I mean, even if he could make $2.5 million in a day, he doesn't care. He can do that doing nothing.
Yeah.
So,
right.
He probably makes $2.5 million a day anyway from Nike. So
let me ask you this Fanatics show's coming up in New York City, this Fanatics, experience. And
AI
no
or
one's
Marbury?
really,
Come on, that's not even a question.
yeah, that it really is. And I ignored that one because that's rough. I mean, AI is like a Hall of Fame legend. Marbury was like, I don't know. He went over there because he couldn't play here anymore. So, so this Fanatics, used to work for Fanatics many, many, many years ago. You still have good relationships with a lot of guys that work there. I don't know what this show is really all about out in New York. I mean, I know they're bringing in a lot of their big names. I guess they're going to do some kind of appearances or interactions with the public, but I don't think they're going to be selling, autographs for
They will,
you to.
but not for everybody. So what I think their ideal goal is to turn it into more of an experience, more like a Comic-Con, and do a higher end show. Something that's just let's face it, a lot of the memorabilia shows have a reputation for being a little on the trashy side, so to speak, and they're trying to do something bigger and better. And I do have some players that'll be there. David will be there. Lawrence Taylor, it's looking like will be there. OJ Anderson will be there. Allen will be there. So I will be there with some of my guys. Derek Jeter's going to be there. Tom Brady's going to be there. It's going to be an event, and we'll see over time if the hobby can support an event like that versus your traditional card show, $5 admission, show up, get your autograph, and go home. Because I'm assuming their admissions will be much higher with some of what they're providing and the Q&A panels and all that kind of stuff. So guys like Brady and Jeter, they will not just be sitting at a table where you can go up and get your item signed. That's going to be Q&A, interactive, that kind of stuff. And again, for that exact reason, like we just discussed with Jeter and Jordan, Tom Brady's just not going to sit at a table and let people pay $4,000 for a signature, and the PR would be terrible, and it just doesn't make sense. So ironically, we shoot ourselves in the foot with that, because we sit around and we say, well, why won't Tom Brady do a public? But if he did one and the price came out, everybody would say, well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll say this. I'm kind of looking forward to see how this first Fanatic show goes, because as much as I love the National, and I know a lot of people love the National, if I had clients in Chicago last year, and I loved the show last year, I thought it was a big success and it was great, and I enjoyed it. But if I had clients in Chicago and they said to me, hey, we want to meet up with you. Where are you going to be on Friday? And I said, I'm over at the National Sports Collectors Convention. You guys want to come over there with me? I don't think I'd be comfortable bringing clients to an event. And I just don't. Don't. The way it's run, the element, the kind of the people. So maybe Fanatics is onto something where, it is more corporate oriented, and there's an opportunity to do things a lot differently than your traditional card show.
Right.
We'll see.
Well, it's funny you say that, because last year Coach Meyer appeared on Thursday, and he's one of my closest friends, even outside of the business. And he took the opportunity to bring his grandson, who's gotten really into sports cards. So I had him as my only person there on Thursday, and we took the day and we walked Troy around the show. And his father, Troy's father, is the quarterback coach at Ohio State. So he coached C.J. Stroud and all these other quarterbacks that are now in the league, Justin Fields, etc. So, he likes walking around the show and looking at the cards for the guys that Daddy coached. And, he's known these guys since he was 2-3 years old, So, there's always that next generation, and there's a place for it. And we had a blast walking around the National, like you said. But even the National is the tip of the iceberg. 99% of shows you go to are nothing like the National.
Yeah.
So to see what Fanatics can potentially do, and even outdo the National, and the different athletes that they can provide and experiences, obviously are unmatched when it comes to Fanatics. So
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of the National, you're going to be at the National. I just saw an update today, because I follow the TriStar page. Dr. J going to be at the National. I think you got Allen at the National. You got a ton of guys. You got your whole crop there.
Yeah, I got Lynn Swan there, Jim Thome, David Ortiz, Coach Meyer, and still trying to work in maybe one or two more.
Wow. Big stuff. Well,
if the powers that be can find a little space on stages, there may be one or two more coming.
That's great. That's great. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Sean, and talking to us.
Absolutely, appreciate you.
Someone who, I'm thrilled. For someone who I've known so long, I'm so happy to see your success. I'm so happy to see how well you've done. You're really like a pillar now in this community for people bringing in getting autographs of athletes and bringing in your names. Always have a good experience with these folks. You've got, one of the, I think it's untarnished in our community, and that's kind of rare. So kudos to you.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks for taking time being on the road today. I'll see you in Cleveland. Be safe.
Absolutely.
Safe. Episode 29 of Stub Luv Live. We're done. Sean Morgan, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
See you, brother.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.